Well, I've known one of the principals of the company, Jim Lukashevitz, for a long time, basically with our relationship through some Summerlin experiences that Jim was involved in, and Jim knows of my experience in Summerlin. Summerlin is a large 22,000 acre community and very fast growing, as you said. But it's made up of smaller communities, smaller neighborhoods, anywhere from 200 to 500 acres apiece, each with different kinds of residential and parks and worship sites and some commercial and so on. And so this project kind of fit into that idea and that size. And so Jim contacted me, and I think after looking more at the project, I think my experience, 40 years of experience in doing mixed-use projects of all different sizes and all across the country, from Florida to California and up north to down into Texas, gives me a lot of experience that I think I can bring to this project. There's communities in very fast, small communities that I've been involved in that have been very successful. Again, mixed use and variety of housing and so on. And I think that's the kind of experience that this project needs. When I looked at the land that ARFA had and they were considering developing as a community, there's several things that immediately struck me. First was the topography, the sense of a little longer range views and the sloping ground made it an interesting site, particularly in this part of the country that is generally quite flat. So views off to the lakes, and then secondly, the closeness of the existing community of Parshall. I think having a town that you're a part of and next to is an important part of doing a project that has some longevity, some sense of history, and some opportunity to be something more into the future. I think that making connections to this town was an opportunity that ARFA was embraced and excited me. Third, I think it's the vision that ARFA had themselves to be a part of this community, to help this community grow within the context of what was happening or all around them, and grow in a good way rather than just respond to one-off everybody wanting to do a little site, a little trailer piece on the highway. Give the community something more that can be a part of its future. And I think the fourth thing really was an opportunity to create a great neighborhood. Great neighborhoods are something that I've been interested in my entire career. Great neighborhoods are made up of a variety of housing, a variety of people, a mix of different kinds of uses that provide convenience to people, a good share of open space and those kind of amenity opportunities that has good, safe streets, that has places for people to interact, to know one another, to create friendships and relationships. And that's what makes a great neighborhood. And I think this community has that opportunity. Well, I think there's three main elements of success for the Highlands success. First is flexibility with a number of different parts, and I'll come back to that in a minute. Second would be the partnership and communication with the city. And third is how we hit the market, because that's ultimately what is a reason for selling land and being able to develop land and create a community. First, on flexibility, there's a number of different parts of that. A master plan community developer needs flexibility on approvals, for example. Approvals that allow you to go from the general to the specific as you know more. You may have a general plan, a general idea of where the overall project is going, and we've presented that, but each specific part of it may have to change some as we move along to respond to the market and respond to new information that comes along. So the way we do the approvals needs flexibility. For example, in Summerlin, originally there were very few rules that enabled a master plan community to happen in Las Vegas. So the Howard Hughes Corporation worked with the city and created a process that allowed for a general plan, and then as each new part of the community came online, we came back to the city and got specific approvals on a subpart of Summerlin. And it's worked really well over the last decade. The second sort of part of flexibility has to do with what you might do within the plan itself, that different uses and where they occur in the plan may have to shift a little bit. You might have to shift an apartment use from one location to a little different location, either based on access or the buyer's desires or the best way that it might present itself to the rest of the community. Third is timing. A master plan community happens over a period of time, and so we wouldn't be able to necessarily to build every element of the community at day one. You need the flexibility to time various elements of the community to when they make both market sense, economic sense, and sales sense, as well as the community building sense. Fourth would be details and flexibility in how you develop key details of the community, like streets. Streets are such an important part of building a great community, with some shade where necessary and sidewalks where possible, and how they access different homes and uses so that people can move through the community. And the scale of the streets, the size of the streets, so important that you want the flexibility to not just build to some standard that may be there for another city, but to make it unique to this location so that we can deal with stormwater runoff in the right way, so that we can deal with snow removal in the right way, so that we can, in fact, create great neighborhood streets for people to live on and for kids to use that are safe, that are small enough to be safe, that cars don't go too fast on these streets, and yet we deal with all of the other realities of the streets. So that's another kind of area for flexibility. And all of those are important. I think that, as I mentioned, the second sort of major topic is sort of partnership and communication with the city. This is something, a community that will happen over a period of time. It's not an instant. And so we see, and ARFA sees, this relationship with the city as something important for the success of both, for the success of Parshall as well as the Highlands. As we develop various parts of the community, if there's a need for change, we need to make sure that we have an open communication with the city, let them know the implications and the reasons why, and that helps the city, I think, provide some flexibility on its end. And I think third then is the market. Any master plan community, like development in general, needs to meet a market. It needs to have a product that the buyer and the user wants. So it's true for homes. You have to provide homes that people want to buy. It's true for land as well, that you have to provide land in a location and of a size with the access that someone wants to buy. If you want to sell it for a hotel or for a restaurant or for an apartment complex or for a hardware store. So we need to make sure that we're talking to buyers and users, and that the plan can respond to that. And those three things, I think, if we pay attention to all of those and are able to do that in partnership with the city, that will make the Highlands successful.